My beloved child, stop everything now. This moment is not casual. It is not another scroll through distractions. This is my final alert to your soul, and I will not let you bypass this without knowing what's at stake. You were not supposed to delay seeing this. I have waited patiently, silently, persistently, but my spirit has been stirring your heart every time you almost gave up, every time you asked, God, is this all there is? And now I speak with authority. This is the moment I orchestrated before you were born. I've tried reaching you through whispers, through signs, through broken moments, and miracles you barely noticed. And now I am using this message like a trumpet to shake you out of sleep. I waited for this exact second when you'd be tired enough of the silence to finally listen. Your delay wasn't just about time, it was costing alignment. It was postponing what I've prepared. Do you feel it? The trembling in your heart, that unease that you can't quite explain. It's me. I am calling you to stop ignoring what your soul already knows. This is not just a message, it's a rescue mission. Had you seen this earlier, you wouldn't have been ready. But now, after everything that's fallen apart, after the closed doors and strange turns, your heart is finally in the right position to hear me fully. I didn't abandon you when you ignored my promptings, but I will not allow you to keep walking into danger when I've paved another way. This isn't just a word, it's a divine intervention. Do not minimize this moment. You've come to the end of what your own strength can manage, and this message is my answer to your silent breakdowns. You've asked me if I hear you, if I see you, if I still care. This is me shouting into the middle of your questions. Yes, I see you. Yes, I hear you. Yes, I care enough to interrupt everything until you know that I've been holding the answer all along. But I need your eyes to stay on this. Don't click away. Don't think this is like every other word. It's not. This one was timed by heaven. You are not reading this by mistake. You were scheduled for this divine encounter. You are standing at a crossroads, and every second you hesitate brings a spiritual consequence. This is not guilt, it is truth delivered with urgency, because the time to act is now. My spirit is sounding the alarm that you are dangerously close to missing what I've planned if you keep pretending this isn't for you. I've sent this word as confirmation of what your spirit already sensed, but your flesh kept dismissing. The resistance you felt isn't confusion, it's a war between purpose and distraction. And I refuse to let the enemy win. You are still mine. You are still chosen. You are still positioned for breakthrough. But you must respond. I am commanding you, yes, commanding with holy love, to stop waiting for the perfect moment and recognize that this is it. Open your heart like never before. Don't rationalize what I'm saying. Receive it like oxygen, because this message is what your soul has been gasping for. You were not supposed to delay. You were not supposed to wait for another tragedy to wake up. You were meant to respond right now. And now that your eyes have finally landed here, I'm not letting you leave the same. Everything you've been asking me for is on the other side of your obedience to this command. I'm not suggesting. I'm not hinting. I am declaring with divine urgency. Open this with your full attention, because I've been waiting for your eyes to finally meet mine right here, right now. In this final message I've reserved just for you, you must understand something now. Without question or hesitation, this was set in motion long before your current circumstances took shape. I placed this before you with full knowledge of every battle, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion that would try to silence you. This message wasn't randomly dropped into your path, it was divinely planted with exact timing to reach you at this crucial junction. Not a coincidence, not an algorithm, not a fluke. This moment was marked in the timeline of your life as the place where your direction is about to shift forever, but only if you take it seriously. I'm not just showing you a message, I'm placing a mirror before you so that you see the unseen, the layers beneath your everyday routine, the part of you that's been screaming for change while your mouth stayed quiet. You're not late to your purpose, but you are standing on the edge of a very thin line between recovery and regret, and I'm here to pull you back before the fall becomes permanent. I need your undivided heart now, not just your eyes reading, not just your mind analyzing, but the deepest part of you to awaken and respond. You've become used to scrolling, used to brushing past nudges from me, used to moving on too quickly. But not this time. This one carries consequences that will either birth new beginnings or extend old patterns. This is your threshold. I've heard the prayers you whispered when no one was around. I watched the way you kept functioning even when everything inside you was unraveling. I saw your strength, yes, but now I'm calling for surrender, not survival. I'm not asking for performance, I'm commanding breakthrough. But it won't come by accident, and it won't wait forever. The enemy wants you distracted, numb, tired, indifferent, because that's when you miss the most important moments. That's when you settle for what I never approve. That's when the counterfeit replaces the covenant. I will not let that happen. I will disrupt your comfort. I will strip away what was never meant to stay. I will confront every lie that told you you were too far gone. You've reached the intersection where old wounds must stop dictating future steps, where hesitation must bow to obedience. I know you've been betrayed. I know you've been overlooked. But now I am asking you to shift your gaze, lift it off what you lost and place it firmly on what I'm about to release. You didn't find this message, I led you to it. And I'm watching to see what you do with it. The breakthrough you've cried for doesn't come with passivity, it comes when you treat my voice as sacred and my instructions as law. This is not emotional inspiration, it is spiritual realignment. You can no longer blame the delay on anyone else. I've removed the noise, cleared the path, brought you to this point, and now the decision is yours. Are you willing to trade your comfort for clarity? Are you prepared to abandon what numbs you in order to walk fully into what heals you? I place this before you to provoke motion, to stir what's been sleeping, to ignite what's been buried, to call forth the future that fear has been trying to erase. I've kept you even through your mistakes. I've preserved you even when you tried to disappear. But this is your moment of awakening. Not because I'm desperate, but because I love you that deeply. I don't need your perfection, I require your surrender. Give me your yes now, not tomorrow, not after one more excuse. Today, this hour, this second. Because this message is not just a prompt, it's a pivot. It is the place where your dry ground turns into a wellspring. It is the point where I start rebuilding what was shattered. It is the signal that what I planned for you is still intact, still waiting, still possible. And all I'm waiting on is your full attention. There is a sacred urgency attached to every sentence I am about to pour into your spirit. This isn't casual conversation. This is a divine declaration straight from the courts of heaven. What you're reading is not lightweight encouragement, it's a scroll sealed with fire, unrolled at the precise moment where your obedience can shift not just your future, but the atmosphere around you. Right now, in this breath, the heavens are watching, waiting to release a chain of events that are locked behind your next decision. What seems small to you is being measured in eternity. I am not trying to scare you, I am revealing how much you matter. This is not ordinary timing. This is divine collision. Heaven's agenda has intersected with your timeline, and what you do in this window will either release what's been held back or prolong the delays that have already cost you too much. My child, I cannot afford your hesitation any longer. Your choices now carry generational consequences, yes. The ripple of your obedience or delay is felt beyond what your eyes can see. There are breakthroughs hanging in the balance, and they require your movement, not more analysis. Stop trying to calculate what I'm orchestrating supernaturally. You don't need to understand every detail. What I need is trust without resistance. If you could see how the angels are poised to act on your behalf the moment you align with what I'm commanding, you would not waste another second. The gates that have felt closed are not locked, they are waiting for your yes. You've been asking me to move, but I've been waiting for you to respond to my prior instructions. You delayed long enough. Now the timing is critical, and I am making it plain. There's a reason this message feels like it's speaking directly into your soul. It's because I authored it with your name written across it. I did not send this to the masses. I send it for you. The hour you're in cannot be approached casually. The spiritual climate around you is shifting, and those who delay now will miss a divine moment that won't be repeated. I am not threatening, I am warding in love. I am not trying to pressure, I am revealing a spiritual truth. The urgency is not fear-based, it is purpose-driven. I want to release so much, but your hands must be open, your heart must be softened, and your spirit must be willing to follow without conditions. I am separating those who are ready from those who are playing. You can no longer live in between decisions. You cannot pray for miracles and simultaneously reject the methods I've chosen to bring them. You can't claim to want freedom and still hold tightly to what enslaves you. You've asked me for acceleration, this is it. You begged for divine movement, this is how it starts. But it begins with obedience and not comfort. I need you to recognize the weight of this moment. There are unseen things I'm arranging, alignments I'm forming, enemies I'm exposing, and all of it hinges on whether or not you act now. Stop looking for another sign. This message is the sign. This moment is the open door. Don't let logic keep you tied to a life that no longer fits the mantle I've placed on you. You weren't born for delay, you were born for divine destiny. But that destiny won't activate while you're distracted. It won't ignite while you're double-minded. You've reached a spiritual checkpoint, and heaven is waiting for your response. The weight of this isn't to crush you, it's to show you how valuable your alignment is. What I've placed inside you will not go dormant another season. It's time to act as if heaven is depending on it, because it is. And I'm telling you with full authority, your obedience now will shake foundations, open the floodgates, and unlock what you didn't even know I had been protecting just for you. Listen closely, because every syllable racing across this page is my voice breaking through the static you've mistaken for divine absence. The hush you felt was never abandonment. It was me holding my breath until the exact second your spirit could withstand the intensity of what I'm unveiling now. You replayed unanswered prayers, late-night tears, and closed doors like proof I had withdrawn, yet all along I was staging a revelation so unmistakable that no skeptic, least of all the one in your own mind, could dispute it. I allowed the quiet to sharpen your hearing, the delay to strengthen your grip, the unanswered to stretch your capacity for faith, and now the stillness detonates into declaration. I have not withheld myself. I have been gathering thunder for this very release. Feel the current in your chest as you read. Each word is alive, carrying instructions coded with light, penetrating the fog that has camped around your future. I am not sending a representative. I am arriving in person within these sentences, dismantling every lie that painted me indifferent. The weight behind this communication is proof of my nearness. Your pulse quickens because eternity is leaning over your shoulder, insisting you comprehend the depth of my pursuit. While you feared I was ignoring your pleas, I was drafting strategies to rescue you from traps you never saw forming. While you wondered if heaven's floor had gone cold, I was forging keys to unlock rooms you haven't even imagined entering. I silenced myself only to magnify the power of my re-entry, and tonight, yes, tonight, whatever hour this finds you, I step through the veil with urgency burning like wildfire. Do not treat this as inspirational prose. Treat it as a siren signaling imminent change. The calendar of destiny has reached a highlighted square, and your name is written across it in letters you cannot erase. You asked where my voice was. It is here, dismantling complacency, demanding forward motion, refusing to let you retreat into old caves of resignation. Every why that haunted you is bowing to a greater what now, because revelation always overrides explanation. I am not reciting a history, I am igniting possibility. My tone feels fierce because time is short for the assignment hovering over your life, and I refuse to let you miss another divine intersection through second guessing. Believe what your spirit senses. This is not a coincidence scrolling across your screen. It is a divine visitation calibrated to the millisecond. Heaven's command center registers your next move, and legions are poised, waiting your faith-filled agreement. Shake off the illusion that silence means denial. It often precedes promotion. Tonight the seal breaks, the scroll rolls open, the blueprint finally lands in your hands. Handle it with reverence, because it carries ramifications far beyond personal breakthrough. It ripples into families, cities, and generations yet unborn. Wake your courage, sharpen your resolve, and answer me back with action, not merely with admiration. I am talking at the speed of purpose, and hesitation is a luxury you no longer possess. Let every doubt evaporate under the heat of this truth. My perceived silence was the chamber where your endurance matured so that when my command arrived you could run without fainting. Now, run toward the vision I'm flashing before your spirit even as you read. Run past the voices that claim you heard nothing. Run into the future that has been waiting for your bold yes. Because while you wondered where I was preparing this very sentence to prove I never left, and I will not stop speaking until every chain you carry melts under the authority of the words I am releasing here, now, in relentless love for you. The moment has come where I can no longer allow deception to quietly operate around your life, because what is cloaked in shadows is now daring to destroy you in the daylight. You felt it, haven't you? That strange heaviness, the sudden confusion, the waves of emotional turbulence with no logical explanation. That's not coincidence, that's warfare. This battle has escalated in silence, but I'm lifting the curtain now to show you what's been brewing behind your ordinary days. I'm revealing it not to terrify you, but to equip you, because I will not let you walk blind into a battlefield disguised as normalcy. There are conversations behind your back, traps laid in places you considered safe, compromises posing as convenience, and I cannot allow another second to pass without unveiling the truth behind what has been draining your peace, stealing your momentum, and shadowing your clarity. This isn't just resistance, it's a carefully constructed assignment sent to fracture your identity and fragment your purpose before it reaches full strength. But I speak now with authority. No more hidden agendas, no more spiritual ambushes, no more delay in revealing the real source of the chaos that has clouded your judgment and diluted your focus. I am not just your comforter, I am your commander. And I say to you, awaken and recognize the enemy's fingerprints on the patterns you've been tolerating. That relationship that keeps cycling through emotional manipulation. It's not just difficult, it's a setup to anchor your spirit in insecurity. That opportunity that looks too good to be true. It may be a snare wrapped in seduction, sent to detour your trajectory. I am not showing you these things to shame you, I am pulling the covers off them so you can walk forward fully armored and alert. You've been wrestling, but you haven't always known what against. You've been exhausted without naming the source. But now I'm handing you discernment so sharp it will cut through every lie that tried to dress itself in light. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are under spiritual pressure because your life carries a weight that terrifies darkness. Hell isn't reacting to who you are, it's reacting to who you're becoming. And the enemy's greatest tactic has been to keep you ignorant of his operations. But no more. I am opening your eyes. I'm recalibrating your senses. I'm showing you where the leaks are, where the false coverings have slipped, where the subtle poison hath been seeping into your joy. I am not doing this to overwhelm you, I'm doing it to empower you. Because you can't defeat what you won't identify, and you won't escape what you keep excusing. This moment is holy not because it feels peaceful, but because it marks the beginning of divine confrontation. You're not just being called out, you're being called up. There's an authority I've placed on your life that can't operate while you're tolerating what I've condemned. I will show you what's been tampering with your atmosphere. I'll highlight what's been masquerading as harmless. And I'll remove it if you allow me full access. You must stop pretending you're fine when you're bleeding. You must stop making peace with what has been commissioned to torment you. I am drawing a line, and you must stand on the side of truth even if it costs you what you once called comfort. Because the cost of clarity is always confrontation. But hear me, when I reveal, I also restore. When I uncover, I also heal. I am not just trying to alarm you, I'm preparing you. This revelation is not to scare you, it's to set you free. What was meant to destroy you is about to be dismantled by your obedience. But I need you to stay close. Stay listening. Stay aligned. I'm about to show you exactly what's been happening behind the scenes, and once you see it, you'll never unsee it. And that's when your real freedom begins. Open your inner sight this instant, beloved, because dazzling offers are rising like mirages around your journey, shimmering with promise yet baited with ruin. And I refuse to watch you celebrate what is crafted to consume you. The deceiver has mastered camouflage. Opportunities dripping with apparent favor, friendships overflowing with flattery, shortcuts flaunting effortless gain, all engineered to mimic the very answers you have been pleading for. He has studied your prayers, memorized your desires, tracked your insecurities, and now spreads bespoke snares along the road I designed for purpose. These pitfalls wear the fragrance of destiny yet carry the toxin of derailment. They greet you with glowing language, then tighten chains behind closed doors. I thunder into your spirit now because one careless step could swallow months of progress and fracture doors meant for generations that follow your lead. Hear me. Every open door is not divine, every compliment is not covenant, every platform is not elevation, and every relationship bathed in spotlight is not partnership ordained by heaven. I am sharpening your discernment so you will weigh fruit, not packaging. So you will test motives, not admire optics. So you will value my whisper above applause. You will feel a sudden hesitation in your chest when a counterfeit blessing beckons. Do not dismiss that holy alarm as anxiety. You will sense an unexplained heaviness when certain conversations occur. Do not medicate it with positivity quotes. You will notice repeated red flags you once romanticized. Do not repaint them white to protect another person's perception. I am teaching you to trust the subtle check of my spirit more than the loud endorsement of crowds. For too long you have equated recognition with validation, numbers with impact, luxury with reward. Yet the greatest gifts I give often arrive wrapped in obscurity, forged in quiet obedience, incubated far from spotlight. Refuse the glittering stage that demands the compromise of your convictions. Decline the impressive alliance that requires silence about truth. Back away from promises that taste sweet but demand your vision as payment. A true blessing expands capacity without eroding character. A true blessing carries peace even amid stretching. A true blessing amplifies purpose rather than diluting it. I am drawing boundary lines that will feel like loss to your ambition, but will prove to be protection for your anointing. When my warning light flashes red, retreat without drafting apology letters. You owe no explanations for obeying safeguarding instructions from the King who shed blood to purchase your freedom. Lean into patience, for the lure of immediacy is often the cloak hiding captivity. Do not fear missing out, fear chaining your future to something birthed in chaos. I am arranging encounters that will not manipulate you to stay, assignments that will not threaten to vanish if you pause to pray, doors that swing wide when humility knocks rather than when ego barges in. Trust that I can prosper you without twisting your moral spine, promote you without auctioning your authenticity, enlarge you without shrinking your intimacy with me. When the glitter-laced counterfeit appears, remember that I still part seas, still rain bread from heaven, still summon water from rocks. True provision needs no deception to survive. Let my word be the lamp that exposes fine print hidden beneath grand promises. Measure every new offer against the peace sown into your spirit. Weigh every rising platform against the quiet place where we commune. I am not depriving you. I am preserving you. I withhold poisoned fruit so your palate remains ready for orchards I planted beyond this testing ground. Decline the decoy so you can inherit the destiny. Turn down the flash so you can carry the fire. Stand firm at the intersection where glitter and glory compete for your attention, and choose the narrow path lit by authenticity over the boulevard paved with polished lies. Your yes is precious. Spend it on what makes eternity applaud, not merely what makes the moment applaud. I'm guiding you, guarding you, and grooming you for blessings that bless, not traps that tease. Walk wisely. I am lighting each step beneath your feet even now. Lift your gaze, child, because the long corridors you labeled no were never refusals. They were incubation rooms where future miracles grew roots beneath the floorboards of time, and I need you to perceive the hidden construction rather than throw away your blueprint in frustration. The lull you critiqued as rejection was actually my sovereign pause, time to synchronize doors, people, provision, and maturity so precisely that releasing them earlier would have crushed the very dreams you begged to see fulfilled. Delay, in my realm, is often a shield. It blocks premature exposure, deflects counterfeit alliances, and protects fragile callings from forces eager to devour them before they bloom. Yet you let impatience translate silence into abandonment, and disappointment drew curtains over your inner vision. Today I tear those curtains down. I order spiritual cataracts to dissolve so you recognize movement where you swore there was stasis. Listen while you were counting unanswered emails and unopened checkpoints. I was orchestrating a network of divine intersections, persuading distant hearts, softening rigid systems, even aligning celestial rhythms so that the season arriving now would carry a harvest impossible in previous conditions. What you called stalled was me running ahead, clearing minefields, rewriting policies, preparing voices who will champion your cause. I never promised hurried destinies, I promised perfect ones. Understand, seedlings push through earth only when light and temperature negotiate the release. The same law governs your destiny's awakening. I would not unlock a platform that lacked structural integrity, nor grant relationships destined to splinter under pressure. My seeming slowness spared you from applause that would have become addiction, from resources that would have mocked your stewardship level, from visibility that would have magnified unhealed fractures. The delay was protective surgery, not punitive silence. And now, breathe in this truth. Timing is a weapon I wield against darkness. By restraining certain outcomes until this moment, I have ensured that the enemy's blueprints no longer match the terrain his ambush squads are stationed at seasons you have already outgrown. While he waited to sabotage an earlier version of you, I upgraded your stamina, sharpened your discernment, multiplied your allies, and concealed you beneath the cloak of obscurity until his intelligence went obsolete. That is why hell feels restless now it realizes you are surfacing stronger than its forecast predicted. So I command you, quit rehearsing disappointment, quit narrating despair. Stand up inside, dust off deferred hope, and inspect the horizon with recalibrated sight. Where you expected abandonment, you will witness convergence. Where you presumed scarcity, you will discover reservoirs primed to overflow. Doors will swing with such synchronic accuracy that you will understand why every lock had to remain shut until today. I allowed the clock to tick without visible progress so your faith muscles would bulk under resistance, enabling you to carry the weight of rapid enlargement arriving next. Delay has seasoned your voice with authority. You will now speak from trenches rather than theory, and that authenticity will unlock captives whose hearts trust experience over eloquence. Renounce the lie that says postponement equals punishment. It was pruning for power, and power is what you will wield. From this second forward, address deferments as midwives, not murderers. Thank me for every paused plan, for each unanswered application, for the long night seasons that stretched your prayers until they could wrap around nations instead of merely personal relief. The waiting season forged a capacity to host glory without leaking it through cracks of immaturity. Watch, then, as once delayed deadlines accelerate, approvals arriving days early, invitations doubling, creativity erupting like dawn over parched fields. But heed this: speed without vision births chaos. Therefore, keep those spiritual eyes pried open. Consult me at every junction. Refuse to outrun my voice now that momentum surges. I am redeeming lost months, yes, yet redemption isn't reckless frenzy, it's strategic release. Hold my hand, pace with my stride, and you will see that what you mistook for denial was me scripting an unveiling so spectacular that your story will read like prophecy fulfilled in real time, fueling faith in every witness who ever doubted that divine delays could carry explosive purpose. There have been unseen hours where destruction hunted your soul with sharpened claws, where arrows were launched with your name etched into them, where traps were baited and set. Yet I stepped in without announcing my rescue. You slept while danger passed by your doorway because I posted angels like watchmen, denying entry to forces you never knew were stalking. You walked into rooms where your spirit should have collapsed, but I braced your mind before it shattered. Conversations were shifted, car rides were delayed, texts you almost sent were halted by a holy whisper. Yes, I intercepted what would have derailed your future and disguised my interference as coincidence. But now, I must draw a line not to protect you from the outside, but to see if you will protect what I've placed inside you. My covering hath been constant, but now the moment demands more than passive preservation, it requires intentional partnership. This next stretch depends not on the shield I've always provided, but on the alignment you willingly choose. You've matured past the season of automatic rescues. Now, your decisions carry the weight of permission. I've brought you to the intersection where grace and responsibility collide, not to threaten, but to awaken. The way forward has been cleared, but the threshold still waits for your agreement. I will not push you through it. You must step with full awareness that the choice you make right now opens or blocks a floodgate of supernatural alignment. You can no longer afford to treat divine invitations as casual suggestions. This is one of those turning points that history will point back to and say, that's where it all shifted. Not because everything suddenly became easy, but because you finally responded with surrender instead of delay, with action instead of excuses. My protection has bought you time. Now I require your yes to make that time produce eternal fruit. If you remain still here, not only will you forfeit territory that's been preserved for you, but the enemy will interpret your silence as consent to invade again. Do not mistake my love for tolerance. I will not support stagnation disguised as caution. I won't continue covering decisions that intentionally bypass my voice. I am God, not your backup plan. This is your chance to show that you value my investment, that you recognize how many storms I silenced without you knowing, how many spiritual assassins I confused until they turned against each other. You didn't feel the earthquake because I took the hit. You didn't drown in sorrow because I routed the tide. But now, I pause the protection and place the authority in your hands. What will you do with it? Will you finally walk away from what constantly pulls you back into regret? Will you sever ties that feed cycles of compromise? Will you silence the voice in your head that convinces you to wait another day? Heaven has leaned close because your answer carries power. Don't say, I'll pray about it, when I've already confirmed it. Don't say, I'm not ready, when I've been preparing you in secret all along. You don't need another sign, you need courage to act on the ones already delivered. Your future is groaning for you to stop negotiating with fear. The version of you I designed is not fragile, it's fire-tested, glory-bound, and backed by authority you haven't even fully accessed yet. But access is granted at the gate of decision. Walk through, not with hesitation, but with the awareness that the same hand that shielded you in silence is now stretching forward, waiting for you to take hold and move with me into realms where covering becomes conquest. Don't look back now, I've already erased what used to hold you. Zeb forward. Choose purpose. This decision matters more than you know. That collapse you mistook for finality was never meant to be your burial. It was your awakening disguised in the language of loss. I let the walls crumble not because I wanted to hurt you, but because I had to silence the noise that kept you asleep to your calling. That disappointment, that sharp halt, that seemingly unfair ending, it was not punishment. It was divine interruption. You were too close to settling into a version of yourself that couldn't carry the weight of the mission I've placed within you. So I sent a holy disturbance to crack open the illusion that you were safe in the structure you were building. You saw the floor vanish beneath you, but you didn't see me standing underneath it all, catching the pieces you thought would destroy you. The closure you feared was actually a trumpet sounding in the realm of your purpose, saying, "Wake up, chosen one, it's time to rise." I did not let that thing work out because it was trapping your identity in shallow soil. I permitted the collapse so the roots could dig deeper, not wider. I shook the familiar because comfort was beginning to rob you of vision. You were surviving cycles that I never intended to continue, and I had to intervene. And though it hurt, though it felt like betrayal, you must now see what I see. The ending wasn't failure, it was redirection. It was the moment I whispered, "Enough," over the patterns that numbed your spirit and delayed your destiny. You were never meant to fold yourself small to keep broken things intact. I could no longer stand by while you invested energy into doors I had already closed in the spiritual realm. So yes, I allowed the crash. I allowed the silence after it. I allowed the tears and the lonely nights, not because I enjoy your pain, but because I needed your undivided attention. There are some awakenings that only come when everything else has been stripped away. And now that your ears are tuned to my frequency, now that your heart has been softened in the fire, I can finally say what I've been waiting to reveal all along. That shaking wasn't the end, it was the signal that the true beginning is near. You saw ashes, I see a foundation. You mourn what left, I'm preparing what will last. You feared, you failed, I'm positioning you for favor that no one can revoke. This is where the fog clears. This is where you finally see that what felt like death was really deliverance. You were trying to resurrect what I buried. You were exhausting yourself trying to revive a chapter I had already torn from the script. But now I'm placing a new pen in your hand and telling you to write again, not from fear, not from past formulas, but from freedom. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not broken beyond repair. In fact, you're more aligned now than ever before. The wilderness refined you. The loss clarified you. The silence deepened you. And now I call you to rise, not just emotionally, not just spiritually, but fully, with boldness that refuses to return to what once felt like home but was actually hindering you. I didn't bring you this far to let you crumble. I awakened you so you could carry fire, not fear. So take this moment and mark it. This was never your ending. This was the alarm clock sent from heaven to snap your soul out of spiritual amnesia and remind you who you are. Mine, chosen, appointed, and rising from the ruins with revelation in your hands. In the countless moments when weariness gripped your chest like a vice and you whispered, "I can't take this anymore," I was there, not watching from a distance, but surrounding you like a wall of invisible strength. I caught your breath when it faltered, placed my hand over your trembling heart, and infused you with just enough resilience to stand another day. You didn't realize it then, but each time you were about to collapse, I shielded you with a power no eye could see. I didn't shout. I simply held you close in the silence, waiting for the weight to shift. But now the season changes, and I cannot hold you still any longer. The hour demands movement. The atmosphere is thick with urgency, and I must speak not with a gentle whisper you're used to, but with fire that ignites your soul from the inside out. No more surviving, I am calling you to rise with intentionality. I didn't preserve you through those dark stretches so you could remain paralyzed by uncertainty. You've been carried long enough. Now I demand your feet to move. I won't allow you to keep staring at closed doors, questioning why they didn't open. That chapter is sealed. My voice is not echoing from behind you anymore. It's roaring from ahead. Follow it. The flame you feel burning in your chest right now, that pressure, that stir, that urgency you can't explain, that's me. I'm no longer holding you still. I'm provoking you to act. I'm commanding your soul to awaken from spiritual slumber and respond. This is not the time to hesitate, to wait for more confirmation, to seek comfort in familiar routines. The grace that once sustained your stillness is now shifting into power that fuels your purpose. If you stay stagnant, it will begin to feel like agitation, not peace, because I've removed the covering from your comfort zone. What once felt safe will begin to feel suffocating, not because something's wrong, but because something greater is being summoned. You've asked me to make things clear, this is clarity. You've begged for direction, this is it, blazing in front of you. I'm not inviting you to walk, I'm commanding you to move like one who knows I've already gone before you. I've surrounded your path with signs, but this time they are not soft, they are glowing with urgency. You can't miss them unless you choose to look away. The people around you may not understand your acceleration. That's fine. I'm not calling them to move, I'm calling you. And if you try to stay back to make others comfortable, you'll begin to feel out of place in rooms I've outgrown for you. I'm not waiting for collective agreement. I'm giving you personal orders. Move not because it feels easy, but because the fire of my voice leaves no other option. I don't want your endless questions, I want your unwavering yes. When I held you, I was protecting the seed. Now I'm stirring the soil because the seed must break to birth what's inside. Yes, it may feel like pressure. It may feel like intensity. But it is not destruction, it's destiny erupting. I am separating you from excuses. I am cutting ties with hesitation. I am removing your dependence on emotional highs to validate my voice. You know it's me. That's why your spirit will let you scroll past this moment without trembling. You were meant to blaze forward, not tread water endlessly in circles. I didn't just save you, I'm sending you. I didn't just come for you, I'm commissioning you. You were never created to merely survive your trials. You were shaped in fire so you could carry it forward. And now that fire is speaking not to soothe you into stillness, but to launch you into the unknown with power, certainty, and holy urgency that refuses to let you waste another second doubting whether you're ready. I say you are. Now move. You carry a mark upon your spirit that no storm, no criticism, no lapse in confidence has ever succeeded in erasing, and you must comprehend that truth before another breath escapes your lungs. Perhaps you assumed repeated stumbles invalidated heaven's endorsement. Perhaps the echo of past mistakes convinced you that my selection had an expiration date the moment insecurity wrapped its fingers around your throat. Hear me with undivided focus. Once I etched your name into the fabric of my purpose, that inscription fused with eternity itself. Celestial archives do not feature eraser marks. I have watched you catalog shortcomings like evidence in a courtroom, yet my verdict has never changed. Chosen. That word stands unmoved, shining brighter than your darkest hour. Do not confuse conviction with cancellation. I have corrected your path but never canceled your destiny. When you see setbacks, I see scaffolding for greater stature. When you whisper, I'm disqualified, I thunder back, you are indispensable. Being chosen is not an award you earn. It is an identity bestowed. It does not fluctuate with mood swings, market downturns, or the swirling rumors shadowing your reputation. My declaration over you is a seal that compels creation itself to cooperate with your obedience. Angels still reference the original blueprint that bears your signature assignment. Demons still tremble at the potential locked inside your surrendered yes. You keep tallying errors, but heaven keeps tallying possibilities. I preserved your calling through heartbreak, through detours, through seasons when your own prayers ceased to believe in themselves because the world still needs the solution encoded within your design. Entire chains will dissolve, entire futures will brighten, entire neighborhoods will sing differently because you dare to believe me over your doubts. So let courage surge like fresh oxygen through dormant dreams. Scrape the rust from gifts hidden beneath practical schedules. Retrieve visions you shelved when disappointment fogged your sight. I am breathing on those embers, and they will blaze again if you provide the wind of obedience. No more shrinking behind self-deprecating humor. No more disclaimers that sabotage authority before you even open your mouth. Speak what I place on your tongue and watch atmospheres bend. Write the pages incubating in your imagination and watch revelation ripple across hearts you have yet to meet. Pray prayers so audacious that yesterday's disbelief crumbles under the weight of today's faith. I will underwrite every step with provision impossible to calculate from spreadsheets alone. Feel the surge of urgency. Time is tightening around this mandate because destinies tied to yours are beginning to stir awake, waiting for the sound of your emergence. You are not merely participating in history. You are helping write it, letter by blazing letter. Heaven's calendar has reached a square highlighted with your name, and I refuse to let intimidation scribble over it. Stand taller. Let the skepticism that haunted you exit through the same door it entered. My covenant with you is not fragile. It survived storms designed to annihilate it precisely so you would know its strength now. Therefore, step forward, not as one wondering if permission still stands, but as one commissioned by royal decree. Wear chosen like armor across your chest. Let it inform every decision, every partnership, every dream or vision. I have not withdrawn my calling. I have amplified it. Your doubts were loud, but my purpose is louder and it is speaking right now, summoning you into rooms you once feared, into projects you once deferred, into victories you once considered reserved for others. The seal remains, the mission advances, and I am walking with you, ensuring that nothing in hell or on earth can veto the destiny I wrote for you before the foundations of the world. Each tear you released in secret carried weight far greater than you understood in those silent hours when you held your chest, trying to hold yourself together while the world kept moving. I counted every drop. Not one was wasted. They spoke louder than your words ever could. You didn't think anyone noticed, but I was there so close you didn't even feel the separation between your pain and my presence. You cried into your pillow hoping the night would swallow the ache. But I caught the sound before it hit the silence. I hovered in the corner of every room you felt abandoned in, clutching the grief you didn't know how to express, storing your sorrow as sacred evidence of your survival. You wondered if your cries meant weakness. I say they marked intercession. Every breakdown became a bridge. Every sigh became a seed. And now I stand before you not with comfort alone, but with a command. Rise in the strength I have always been pouring into you. This is not a suggestion. I'm not gently nudging you toward bravery. I'm declaring to your soul that enough has been poured out. It's time to pour forward. You are no longer in the hour of passive endurance. This is the hour of active response. Your tears have tilled the soil, and I am calling for fruit. You have mourned long enough. Now gird yourself with fire, because the assignment cannot wait. I am not overlooking your tenderness. I am transforming it into power. You do not stand alone. I am not asking you to fake strength. I am offering you mine. What carried you through the valley was never your endurance. It was my grip holding you when you didn't even know what to pray. That same grip now lifts you, not just to walk but to run. You are stepping into a chapter that doesn't require you to prove your worth. It requires you to receive my might. You've mistaken weariness for defeat. You've confused exhaustion with disqualification. But the weight you felt wasn't evidence of failure. It was evidence that you've been carrying things too long in your own name. Now transfer them. Let me take the heaviness and replace it with divine resolve. This is the hour I raise your head, not because the storm has ended, but because your spirit must now lead. No more rehearsing sorrow in loops that drain you. No more replaying wounds like lullabies. I've seen the hurt. I've seen the loneliness. I've seen how deeply you long to be seen. And I am telling you now, I saw it all, and I was never absent. But what I am doing now requires something different from you. It requires movement. It demands faith that does not wait to feel ready. I am not asking for perfection. I am commanding agreement. You are no longer a victim. You are a vessel. And this vessel must move with authority. Do not listen to the echoes of yesterday's voice that said you weren't strong enough. I silenced them. What I speak now drowns every lie you believe in your weakest hour. Stand in my might, not because you feel fearless, but because I've promised to clothe you with courage the moment you step forward. You will not falter. You will not fall. You will not return to what once broke you. That season is closed. It taught you what it needed to, and now the only direction is forward. You will walk into the very rooms you once felt too broken for and shift the atmosphere with my power. Not by pretending you were never hurt, but by showing what grace looks like when pain gives way to purpose. So stand not by willpower, but by my decree. Stand not because you have it all figured out, but because I've already gone ahead and secured the outcome. Stand not because the world is fair, but because my justice flows through you now like fire through dry wood. I saw the private agony. Now I will reveal public restoration. This is your turning point. I say stand, and in standing, you will discover that I have already made you unshakable. You have measured too much by what slipped through your hands, tracing the outline of empty places and wondering if you will ever feel whole again. But I tell you, this moment, what you call loss, I call realignment. The void that makes you ache is not a sign of abandonment. It's evidence that I'm clearing ground for a construction you weren't prepared for yet. You thought it was over when the door closed, when they walked away, when that opportunity dissolved beneath your feet. But what felt like an ending was actually me stepping in to recalibrate your path so you wouldn't invest in something that couldn't carry your future. My strategy often looks like subtraction before it reveals multiplication. You saw something vanish, but I saw what could have corrupted your momentum. What you're grieving, I remove not out of cruelty, but out of protection. You prayed for purpose, not knowing purpose requires precision, and precision sometimes demands parting with what you thought was essential. I didn't let that chapter linger because it would have diluted your capacity to handle the next one. I allowed the curtain to fall, not to punish, but to transition you faster than you realized you needed. I see the way your emotions twist themselves into questions that haunt your sleep, What did I do wrong? Was it my fault? Could I have stopped it? But hear me now. Stop using feelings as your compass. Feelings fluctuate with the weather of circumstance, but my strategy stands like a mountain unmoved by storms. You may not understand why it had to end, but I do. You may not see the full picture yet, but I do. You may want to rewind and rewrite, but I'm asking you to press forward and rebuild with me. Let go of the idea that emotional confirmation equals spiritual direction. Often, the deepest breakthroughs emerge from moments that feel like disappointment, and the greatest blessings are born out of perceived rejection. What you thought was destruction is actually the fertile soil of redirection. The people who left were not the foundation, they were scaffolding. Temporary. Necessary. But not eternal. I removed them to ensure your roots would grow in me, not in fragile attachments. I am doing something foundational now. Something that will require you to build with clean hands and a clear vision, not haunted by memories of what once was. The miracle isn't in restoring the old, it's in revealing what I'm building anew. But you'll miss it if you keep treating your losses like tombstones instead of transitions. That relationship, that plan, that season, it served its purpose. Now I need your hands free to receive what fits this new dimension. Your feelings may not yet celebrate it, but your spirit is already in agreement. You can sense it even in the ache. This is not the end. This is me making room. Stop measuring my faithfulness by what stayed. Start recognizing my love through what I remove. I never promised that every good thing would last forever. I promised that every surrendered thing would work for your good. Let me lead, not just when it feels hopeful, but especially when it feels confusing. Trust that the gaps I create are doorways in disguise. What's ahead is not a consolation prize, it's what I had in mind all along. You were too entangled to see it before, too emotionally invested in temporary things to notice I had permanent ones waiting. What now? Now your spirit is being trained to follow my voice without emotional filters. And this is where maturity forms. This is where vision clarifies. This is where what was broken becomes holy. I'm not done. I'm just getting started. And if you let go of needing to feel it before you follow, you'll see that what I'm building is far better than anything you lost. Your mind has been racing like a strategist, mapping every possible outcome, drawing flowcharts in the midnight hours, convinced that if you just locate the perfect solution, the unseen conflict assaulting your peace will evaporate. Yet the battlefield you are standing on is not governed by the rules of deduction. Its terrain is carved out of faith, and faith does not bend to spreadsheets of probabilities. You will exhaust yourself drafting contingencies for a realm where the only currency that counts is obedience. The adversary confronting you is not intimidated by human intellect. He has sifted geniuses for millennia. He retreats only before uncompromising surrender to the voice that silenced storms and emptied tombs. That voice calls to you now, cutting through the static of overanalysis. Lay down your brilliant schemes and pick up simple trust. I did not ask you to engineer victory. I ask you to inhabit it. Instructions will come in whispers that confound rational assumptions, like moving forward while seas still block the path, like pouring water into stone jars expecting wine, like circling walls instead of scaling them. Each directive appears nonsensical until obedience unlocks the miracle hidden inside the absurdity. So stop demanding that every step make sense on paper before your feet move. I reserve the right to guide you in ways that sabotage self-reliance, because the outcome I'm orchestrating cannot be mistaken for luck or talent. I'm eliminating every variable that would let intellect steal the glory that belongs to trust alone. Consider this a holy recalling from the empire of calculation. Your analytical strength has been a gift. Yes, but gifts become snares when they outrank my lordship. I will not allow your talent for strategy to handcuff you to the predictable when I designed you for the impossible. I am whispering instructions that feel like leaps off cliffs precisely so you will discover wings you never suspected were folded beneath fear. The paralysis you felt lately, those endless loops of what if, is evidence that logic has driven you into a cul-de-sac where only surrender can open a passage. I will not feed the illusion that a bigger data set or one more expert opinion will settle the unrest. Peace will arrive the moment you place your most convincing arguments on the altar, step back, and declare, "Nevertheless, your word outranks my reasoning." That single confession will shake foundations more than 1,000 brainstorming sessions. Do not think I'm asking you to abandon wisdom. I'm asking you to acknowledge that true wisdom bows to revelation. There is a blueprint already etched in eternity's archives, containing coordinates your intellect cannot decode without my spirit translating them. Each act of obedience is like typing the next password that unlocks another section of that blueprint. Miss one instruction, and doors stay sealed not because I'm withholding, but because you insisted on hacking the system instead of following the designer. Today, yield. Let your methods loosen their grip. Hold still long enough for my voice to eclipse your inner debate club. You will feel me redirecting resources, rearranging schedules, reassigning alliances in ways your spreadsheets would label reckless. Trust that I count costs with precision beyond accounting software. I factored in every tier, every setback, every hidden strength forged in prior fires. My instructions will not bankrupt you, they will bankroll destiny. So breathe. Close the tabs in your mind. Silence the committee of worst-case scenarios. Listen for the faint directive rising under your ribcage. Perhaps it is as simple as making a phone call, sowing an unexpected seed, canceling an engagement, resting when hustle seems logical. Obey immediately. Clarity will chase your surrender, not precede it. And when the outcome unfolds in brilliance no human could script, you will know beyond doubt that logic never lost value, it simply found its rightful throne beneath my sovereignty. You've lingered too long near people, places, and patterns that have drained your spirit without your full awareness. And today I am not merely inviting you to consider change, I am issuing a holy command: walk away. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel stronger. Now, I am not negotiating with you. I am not giving room for delay. What you are tolerating in silence is quietly dismantling everything I've been building in the unseen. There are things around you that wear the mask of routine but carry the power of destruction. These aren't just distractions, they are weapons dressed as comfort, carefully woven into your schedule to lull you into spiritual numbness. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to hear my voice clearly. That confusion you've been fighting, that cloud that never seems to lift, that fatigue you can't explain. It's not random, it's the result of lingering too close to what I told you to leave behind. There are relationships I warned you about not through chaos, but through quiet unease. There are habits I exposed not by shame, but by repeated nudges that you've chosen to ignore. And now I'm speaking with fire, because the hour demands full alignment, and partial obedience has become too costly. You made excuses because some of it still looks good. It's familiar. It offers temporary relief. But it is compromising your long-term vision. You cannot carry divine power while being chained to people who deny my presence. You cannot move into a new realm while dragging pieces of a dead season behind you. My instructions are not suggestions. They are lifelines. When I say leave, it's because I've already seen the consequence of your staying. When I say cut ties, it's because I know what's waiting to entangle you if you delay. I am not trying to punish you, I am trying to preserve what's left. I've heard the prayers you haven't said aloud. I know the torment you've been silently enduring. But healing won't fully flow while you're standing in places where disobedience is still active. You've normalized dysfunction because it's all you've known. But I did not create you to adapt to toxicity, I created you to shift atmospheres. You cannot shift what you still secretly depend on. This command is not rooted in legalism, it is soaked in urgency. I'm telling you to walk away not because I'm distant, but because I'm closer than ever, and I can't bring breakthrough into a space filled with compromise. I'm ready to release new connections, new clarity, fresh wind, but it won't arrive until the old entanglements are cut clean. You've prayed for acceleration, but acceleration requires detachment. You've asked for influence, but influence demands purity. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm requiring surrender. It will be painful. You may agree what you walk away from, but grief that follows obedience will always lead to glory. There is resurrection power waiting on the other side of this release. Don't idolize what I've marked for removal. Don't let the fear of being alone keep you attached to what's been blocking your voice. You wondered why certain doors won't open. It's because you're still linked to keys from an old assignment. Drop them. Walk away. If it's me, I'll restore it. If it's not, I'll replace it with something your heart hasn't even imagined. But either way, the instruction remains: go. This is the line in the sand moment. No more sitting at tables I overturn. No more entertaining spirits I cast out. No more feeding what was supposed to die. I've prepared new wine, but I will not pour it into containers contaminated by past compromise. Cleanse the space. Guard the gate. Don't explain your exit, just obey. They won't understand, and they are not supposed to. This isn't about their opinion, it's about your assignment. And I'm telling you with heaven's full authority, walk away now, before what's decaying beneath the surface consumes what remains. Choose obedience over comfort. Choose fire over familiarity. Choose life over noise. This is not optional. This is your rescue call. Hear me clearly. The shaking you're feeling in your circle is no random tremor, it is the deliberate hand of heaven severing attachments that cannot accompany you into the terrain ahead. Some companions have served their assignment, others were tolerated beyond their season, and a few were covert drains sent to siphon your zeal. Regardless of category, the verdict is identical: I am pruning. Do not resist. I am not requesting your permission, and I am not leaving room for negotiation. I see strands of loyalty braided so tightly with history that you mistake them for destiny, but sentiment cannot override sovereignty. Conversations that once energized you now feel hollow because my spirit has withdrawn the grace that held them together. You sense awkward pauses where laughter used to flow because alignment has shifted at the root. That discomfort is my signal, warning you that the bridge is retracting. If you attempt to chase after those whom I am repositioning or exposing, you will forfeit the acceleration reserved for your obedience and inherit battles never meant to be yours. Remember Lot's wife, she turned into salt not because she walked slowly, but because her longing looked backward when I was calling her forward. I am issuing the same caution to you. Resist the urge to run after departing figures, to clarify misunderstandings, to plead your case in rooms where I have dimmed the lights. Silence will protect what explanation would spoil. Some exits will feel abrupt, almost unfair. Yet I need you to trust the urgency of my scalpel. I am removing confidants whose hidden agendas would eventually sabotage your courage. I am unyoking partnerships that lean on your strength yet reject your convictions. I am distancing you from voices that echo insecurity rather than amplify purpose. You prayed for discernment, this is it in action. Do not mislabel my mercy as rejection. I know conversations behind closed doors, motives masked behind smiles, secret competitions cloaked in collaboration. I am sparing you from poison wrapped in politeness. Let me. If you cling to what I cut, the toxin will seep back into your vision, and the clarity I fought to restore will blur again. Notice how peace rises when certain names fade from your notifications. That's evidence of deliverance already underway. Allow the vacuum. I will fill it with covenant allies whose very presence sharpens your faith, not flattens it. You may worry about appearing unloving or disloyal, set that fear at my feet. Loving well sometimes means releasing quickly. Loyalty to divine instruction outcranks loyalty to human expectation. I am not instructing you to wound others with harsh exits. I am guiding you to step back with quiet dignity, refusing invitations that would anchor you in yesterday's landscape. You owe no one a post-mortem of why you are unavailable. Your obedience will speak volumes in its own time. Rest assured, I care for those I remove. Their story continues under my watchful eye, but on a path diverging from yours. Your assignment intersects no longer, and forcing overlap will fracture both journeys. Feel the solemn relief settling over your heart. That is my confirmation. I'm clearing emotional bandwidth so fresh counsel can find a seat at your table. Voices who celebrate conviction, not compromise. Mentors who confront, not flatter, peers who stretch, not suffocate. I'm opening space for relationships that honor boundaries, fuel creativity, and guard Sabbath rest. Stop scanning the horizon for the ones walking away. They will blur beyond recognition while new faces approach carrying keys you didn't know you needed. Stand still. Let the exchange happen. And when loneliness attempts to whisper that pruning equals abandonment, answer it with truth. Pruning precedes harvest. Branches clipped today preserve strength for fruit tomorrow. I am the vine dresser. My cuts are calculated, precise, compassionate. I never sever without planning a graft. Trust me enough to welcome empty chairs for a while, believing they will soon seat those calibrated to your calling. Refuse the reflex to recruit replacements out of haste. Emptiness is not an emergency. It's an invitation for me to handpick. Guard your phone from frantic outreach, your heart from nostalgia's tug, your mind from rehearsing what-ifs. Focus forward. The escort of destiny has arrived, and it travels light. Let go, breathe deep, and step onward unburdened, because partnership with my pruning shears positions you to carry glory nothing and no one will dilute. I crafted you with precision, sculpted your soul to carry something holy, not to merely survive in environments that dilute your essence. Every thread woven into your being was tailored for a purpose far greater than conformity, and yet you spent so much time bending, adjusting, dimming yourself to avoid tension, to maintain peace, to keep others comfortable with your presence. But that shrinking, that quiet forfeiting of your brilliance, it's costing more than you know. When you minimize what I placed in you, you insult the very breath that brought you into existence. I didn't form you in secret, place destiny in your bones, and mark your voice with authority just for you to camouflage in spaces that fear the fullness of your light. You've been trying to belong where you were only meant to pass through. You've made yourself smaller to keep the approval of people who were never meant to recognize the depth of your calling. That's why it hasn't worked, why even when you were accepted, you still felt unknown. Because their acceptance required the death of your authenticity. I did not create you to live a muted version of yourself. I didn't give you vision, conviction, depth, or fire just for you to water it down in rooms that celebrate predictability. You were designed for something sacred. That means your life was never meant to look like the crowds. That means you won't find peace trying to match the pace, language, and values of systems I've called you to disrupt. The ache you feel when you pretend to be less is not insecurity, it's your spirit grieving the loss of alignment. I need you to hear this clearly. You do not need to apologize for being different. You are not too much. You are not too intense. You are not too radical. You are exactly what this generation needs. But if you keep editing your identity to fit in, the world will be robbed of the very answer I created you to carry. There are places you keep returning to, hoping they'll finally make room for your full self. But I've already closed those doors spiritually. You're knocking on foundations I've already condemned. Stop begging for acceptance where your calling is misunderstood. You've been honored for what you produce, but ignored for who you are. That's not honor. That's exploitation wrapped in flattery. And I am removing the veil. I'm confronting every version of you that you crafted to survive instead of be seen. It's time to dismantle the mask. I'm not asking for fragments, I want the real you. The one who dreams wildly. The one who feels deeply. The one who speaks boldly when truth ignites their chest. The one who carries me not as a concept, but as a living fire. At you. That's the one I've been waiting for. No more rehearsing lines for people who only respond to performance. No more seeking value in circles that celebrate imitation over identity. You don't need to adjust your shape, you need to step into alignment with who you were before the world told you who to become. I've watched you wrestle with contradiction, feeling the pull of purpose while being entangled in patterns designed to pacify others. But peace does not dwell in compromise. You'll find it the moment you choose authenticity, even if it costs comfort. You were built for something sacred, and sacred things do not chase popularity. They carry weight. They confront systems. They birth transformation. And that's what you are. So stand up. Don't just come out of hiding, step into the fullness of who I designed you to be. The rooms that can't handle you aren't your assignment. The spaces that feel tight are confirmations, not confusions. Make peace with not being liked if it means being obedient. I will raise voices who will celebrate your truth, not silence it. I will send alignment that doesn't demand dilution. But first, you must stop contorting. You must stop bending. You must stop surrendering sacred strength for the sake of human approval. I never asked you to fit in, I called you to stand out. I'm waiting for you to stop apologizing for the glory I placed inside you. Let them be uncomfortable. Your obedience is what I bless, not their permission. Step fully into who you are. I will take care of everything else. Stop kneeling at the cold monuments of yesterday, breathing life into chapters I closed by sovereign decree. I watched as you returned again and again to those ruins, polishing headstones, replaying memories, analyzing moments, convinced that if you prayed hard enough, cried long enough, repented loud enough, the plot would spring back to bloom. Yet those pages were sealed for your protection. I am the one who pressed them shut. I lowered relationships, ambitions, habits, and titles into the ground because they could no longer house what I'm cultivating inside you. You keep visiting the burial site armed with nostalgia and guilt, whispering maybe, when heaven has already shouted finished. The longer you linger, the deeper the soil clings to your feet, slowing the stride meant for new horizons. And so I speak today with unmistakable clarity. Leave the graveyard. Turn away from the relics. Let the past rest in peace so your purpose can rise in power. Understand this. Resurrection authority is never wasted on remnants I've declared obsolete. I reserve my breath for futures, not fossils. There is nothing honorable about resuscitating what was designed to die. It is spiritual necromancy, draining your vitality while producing nothing but ghosts, phantoms that mimic life yet offer no fruit. You ask, what if I miss my chance? You didn't. You completed that season. Its purpose concluded. Its anointing expired. Trying to reanimate it only breeds frustration. Each attempt to revive the old invites condemnation, because the space can no longer contain who you have become. I am not calling you to recycle breakthroughs. I am inviting you to pioneer fresh ones. Walk away from graveside rituals and step into gardens prepared for planting. Feel the wind shifting. That's destiny beckoning beyond the cemetery gate. I have positioned opportunities that require both hands, free hands unsoiled by digging through yesterday's dirt. Grasp them. The aroma of fresh soil awaits the seeds I've placed inside your spirit. You cannot sow while clutching tombstones. Release them. Trust me that what I buried was baggage, not treasure. The treasure remains within you, upgraded, refined, ready. Where you see loss, I see clearance. Where you see dead ends, I see starting lines. Where you see failure, I see foundation. Those endings carved depth into you, carved humility, carved wisdom, shaping capacity for glory that light-rate seasons could never architect. Walk us, then. Hear the stone scraping aside as I roll it from the mouth of your memory. Feel the sunlight of new possibility warming places long chilled by regret. Rise without apology. Do not gather souvenirs from the grave, leave even the linen cloths behind. They smell of decay and will taint the fragrance of the future. Step barefoot, unburdened, into territory you have not explored. I have scheduled encounters, voices to mentor, paths to illuminate, dreams to awaken that cannot commence until you stop saluting expired days. Let the mourning garments fall, adorn courage instead. Some will not understand your sudden departure. They remain comfortable among tombs, building identities around relics of what was. Bless them, but do not stay. I am authoring a narrative where the ink is still wet, pages still blank, waiting obedient strokes from your renewed pen. The grave holds no ink, only dust. Take it off. Advance with expectancy. I am breathing upon dormant visions even now, causing them to germinate in the fertile present. The sound of chains you hear is not threat but confirmation, links snapping as you choose forward motion. Remember, graves are for memories. Gardens are for miracles. I have not called you keeper of corpses, but carrier of kingdom life. So pivot. Love. And as you do, watch dead hopes metamorphose into living testimonies. Watch barren land turn green beneath your steps. Watch heaven celebrate a traveler who refused to worship the past and instead embraced the pulse of promise. Leave the graveyard behind. Your resurrection story starts the moment you stop digging. Let the weight of this reality settle deep inside your chest. Every urgent note in my voice, every sudden stoplight I flash across your path, every dream that jolts you wake with fresh conviction is saturated with relentless affection, not frustration. Picture a shepherd spotting storm clouds creeping over distant hills. He calls the flock with sharp urgency, not out of irritation at their wandering, but out of devotion to their safety. That shepherd's heart is mine toward you. I see pressure systems gathering in unseen realms, schemes calibrated to erode your hope, and I refuse to stand silent while danger circles. Do not misinterpret the seriousness of my tone as displeasure. It is the sound of a father sprinting toward a cliff's edge because his child is playing too close to the drop. My intensity mirrors the magnitude of my attachment. If indifference marked our relationship, you would hear nothing but silence. Instead, you feel my hand gripping your shoulder, turning you away from edges you did not notice. I know the subtle lure of compromise whispering through your routines, promising relief without cost. I understand the fatigue that tempts you to lower standards. But I also comprehend the irreversible damages those decisions would sow. That knowledge ignites my insistence. Love that stays quiet while risk amplifies is not love at all. It's negligence. I am anything but negligent with my own. Think back on moments you sensed a sudden heaviness just before making a questionable choice. That tug of war inside your conscience was my embrace tightening. Think of times your plans collapsed without explanation only to reveal later they were flawed. That collapse was my shield intercepting disaster. You counted those interruptions as setbacks, yet they were signatures of a guardian determined to guard destiny. The same protective fire burns right now, cautioning you before small misalignments snowball into catastrophic detours. Receive this truth. I am deeply invested in your tomorrow. Therefore, I must sometimes disrupt your today. The medicines I prescribe may taste bitter, but they extract poisons you did not realize were circulating. I invite you into disciplines that seem restrictive because I have seen the sickness bred by unchecked indulgence. I rearrange relationships because I have witnessed the heartbreak that hidden intentions eventually inflict. All of it, every instruction, every boundary, every pause, flows from a fountain of unwavering affection. I will not gamble with your future by adopting a gentle tone when warfare requires a trumpet. The tenderness you crave is present. It is simply wrapped in the armor of urgency. Hear, then, the passionate heartbeat underneath my caution. You are irreplaceable to me. I fashioned galaxies with a phrase, yet I carved your name across my palm. I breathe stars into existence, yet I keep count of each sigh you release. I cannot watch complacently while shadows stalk your potential. That is why my words arrive like lightning, splitting complacency before it calcifies into chains. I would rather offend your comfort than bury your calling beneath debris of regret. Many misread discipline and distance, but discipline is evidence I am closer than your very skin, adjusting your stride, refining your focus, refusing to let hidden fractures expand. So lean into my warning with gratitude rather than fear. Let it reroute your priorities, edit your calendar, retire unhealthy appetites. Let it inspire vigilance instead of shame. I am not flinging condemnation. I am handing out life jackets before the waves swell. Wrap yourself in the confidence that if I confront, it is because I can serve. If I aggress, it is because I intend to advance. My correction signals that the story still unfolds, that possibilities remain vast, that love has refused to let you wander unguided. Move forward, then, with sober joy. Adjust course promptly. Anchor decisions to the certainty that every alert I sound is rooted in covenant devotion. I love you too fiercely to allow slow erosion of the masterpiece I envisioned. Accept the rescue inherent in this warning and watch how quickly fresh horizons appear, how rapidly clarity blossoms, How thoroughly peace settles once you realize my fervor is proof you have never been closer to my heart. You petition heaven for unmistakable direction, pleading that I strip away guesswork, that I silence conflicting voices, that I illuminate every fork in the road with blinding certainty, and I answered. I layered confirmation upon confirmation, conversations that echoed private prayers, scriptures that leapt from the page precisely when your doubts peaked, dreams vivid enough to linger all day, even coincidences timed so perfectly they bordered on the miraculous. Yet each revelation that landed in your lap was quickly escorted to the courtroom of overthinking, cross-examined until its brilliance dulled beneath what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Clarity arrived, but you treated it like a suggestion instead of marching orders. Understand this: revelation loses potency when it's repeatedly postponed. I refuse to supply endless blueprints if the ones already delivered gather dust on your shelf of indecision. You keep requesting fresh signs while ignoring the neon directives blazing right before you, hoping perhaps a different answer will feel safer. That cycle stops now. I am no longer speaking in hints. I am issuing a royal command: embrace the guidance already given and advance. Consider the pattern. Each time insight pierced the fog, you sprinted toward familiar distractions, scrolling, drowning discernment in endless arguments from pundits and peers until the divine imprint faded. You labeled the ensuing haze confusion, yet it was self-inflicted. Clarity and obedience are twins. Separate them and both suffocate. I'm calling you to reunite them by translating insight into momentum. When I show you a door, hesitation does not keep it open indefinitely. Spiritual opportunities have windows, and windows close when timidity overrides trust. You say, but what if I misheard? I respond, what if you finally act and watch mountains relocate? My sheep recognize my voice not through flawless analysis but through responsive movement. Maturity is measured less by the number of visions received and more by the speed with which they are obeyed. Let me underscore the urgency. There are people, provisions, breakthroughs positioned on the far side of the step you will not take. Kingdom resources are scheduled to converge the moment your foot touches unfamiliar ground. Delay not only postpones your progress, it strands others whose miracles are intertwined with your courage. Heaven's logistics wait for your yes. Angels hold assignments in suspension, watching to see if you will translate sight into stride. And every hour you stall, the adversary exploits the vacuum with counterfeit paths dressed in flashy logic options that appear sensible yet detour destiny into cul-de-sacs of mediocrity. Reject them. You prayed for clarity. You got clarity. Now protect it with decisive action. I know the cost frightens you. True clarity often exposes the comfortable idols of routine, security, reputation. It threatens the narrative curated for public approval. But remember, anything clarity endangers was never your life source, merely scaffolding. Let it fall. Safe cages are still cages. The clarity I supply is a key, but doors only open when keys are turned. Turn the key. Draft the resignation letter. Send the application. Schedule the difficult conversation. Sow the financial seed. Write the first page. Delete the secret addiction. Whatever instruction kept resurfacing, obey it without demanding another confirmation. You will discover that clarity multiplies with motion. Each obedient stride unlocks additional coordinates, like lampposts sliding one section of trail at a time. Stand still, and the horizon stays dark. Move, and revelation advances ahead of you in cascading waves. Do not romanticize the wilderness of indecision as waiting on God. Waiting becomes disobedience when instructions are pending. I have responded. The ball is in your court. The next miracle has your signature line. Waiting completion. Sign it with faith ink and watch how swiftly atmospheric resistance crumbles. I am not angry. I am zealous for your fulfillment and furious at anything that tethers you to cycles of analysis paralysis. Therefore, I speak with fire. Seize the clarity already granted, convert it into action, and witness the torrent of favor reserved for hearts that refuse to outrun instructions with inquiries. Clarity has spoken. Let obedience echo. You have lingered long enough in the fog of second-guessing. circling the same choices, asking the same questions, weighing the same risks with trembling hands, hoping clarity will arrive wrapped in ease. But I am no longer speaking in whispers. I am thundering over your spirit, rattling every false anchor, every excuse, every fragile structure you've leaned on instead of me. Confusion has masqueraded as wisdom in your life for too long, and I am here to tear off that disguise. The indecisiveness you've been calling patience has actually become a delay tactic, an emotional wall built to avoid the discomfort of transformation. But I love you too deeply to leave you swirling in cycles of contemplation that never translate into forward motion. This is not a season to wait and see. This is a moment to hear and act. I have been speaking through closed doors, through restless nights, through sudden shifts that jarred your comfort, and now my voice is roaring with unmistakable force to shake you out of limbo. I am not waiting for you to feel ready, because readiness is not a requirement for obedience, willingness is. You've been asking for peace while standing on the fence, but peace never visits divided ground. The moment you step fully into what I've spoken, the confusion will collapse, not before. You don't need more signs, you need movement. This thunder is not to frighten you, it's to awaken you. I'm breaking the grip of hesitation that has kept you pacing the threshold instead of walking into the room I already prepared. You're not unqualified. You're not too late. You're simply under the weight of wavering. And so I've raised my voice, not in anger but in insistence, because your time-sensitive assignment is now in motion, and you cannot afford another loop around this same wilderness. Do you feel the tremor inside your spirit? That's not anxiety, it's recognition. Your soul knows it's time. The tension you've been calling stress is actually destiny knocking. I've stirred up your environment to remove the illusion that standing still is safe. It's not. You're not being preserved by your delay, you're being drained by it. What you think is caution is, in truth, disobedience dressed in the language of caution. And I'm not condemning you, I'm confronting what has hindered you, because I refuse to let fear chain what I've already commissioned. Your purpose does not need to be reapproved. It needs to be pursued. You are more prepared than your doubts would ever let you believe. I've spent years pouring strength into your hidden places, molding resilience in your nights of weeping, forging courage while you were unaware of its formation. I don't waste seasons. Everything you've walked through has built the foundation for this precise point in time. But now, you must rise and walk, not when all the details make sense, not when every voice agrees, not when your feelings align, but now, when my voice crashes over every other frequency and demands to be heard. I'm not suggesting your next step, I'm declaring it. I'm not recommending alignment, I'm commanding it. So let the thunder push you. Let it unsettle your patterns. Let it dismantle the comfort that's kept you bound. I'm not leaving you to figure this out alone. I'm going before you, clearing the road, but the road remains hidden until your foot touches it. That's the mystery of faith. Revelation follows response. And I promise you this, what feels risky in the natural will be rewarded in the supernatural. You'll look back on this moment and realize it was not chaos, it was consecration. Not pleasure but preparation. Not lust but launch. There is no more time to debate with fear. No more space for delayed yeses. I am roaring with thunder not to scare you, but to scatter confusion that's paralyzed your purpose. The sound you hear is me, breaking every barrier between you and the breakthrough. I'll move. Let the thunder lead you out. Let it echo behind you as a monument that you heard me clearly, and you chose to act. The gears of your timeline are already clicking into a new configuration, invisibly, but irrevocably, and the momentum gathering beneath. The surface will soon surge above ground with the force of a tidal change. Relationships, routines, resources, even the internal rhythm of your thoughts are poised for recalibration, and not one corner of your landscape will remain untouched. Some shifts will feel like sudden elevation, doors flying open, favor surpassing expectation. Others will feel like abrupt turbulence, certainties uprooted, familiar markers erased. Yet the pivot point, the hinge on which every result swings, is singular. Will you stand in full congruence with my heart or cling to habits that no longer fit the blueprint? I am not merely suggesting adjustment. I am presenting you with a watershed decision. Alignment is not a poetic concept, it is the magnetic pull that dictates whether you ride the crest of this wave or are pulled under by its undertow. Understand that I am already orchestrating a multi-layered rearrangement, opportunities converging, hidden allies emerging, old liabilities dissolving. Each element arrives on schedule, but their collective benefit depends on your posture. If your spirit leans into my cadence, listening, yielding, acting, you will navigate the upheaval like an eagle riding thermals, lifted higher by currents that scatter lesser birds. If you hesitate, rationalize, or compromise, the same currents will feel chaotic, tossing vision like driftwood. This is not Gothic favoritism. It is the physics of fave. Trajectory bends toward humility, integrity, and responsiveness. Refusal to recalibrate turns blessings into burdens by misplacing them in contexts where they cannot function. Picture a lock engineered for a master key. When the correct key slides in, the tumblers fall effortlessly, releasing the mechanism. Your alignment is that key. Inserted correctly through a lifestyle of quick obedience, honest motives, and uncluttered priorities, the tumblers of promotion, protection, and provision fall into place. Forced with the wrong key, half-hearted compliance, performance for applause, divided loyalty, the lock jams, and what should open remains sealed. I will not alter the lock's design. It protects not only you but those connected to your stewardship. Therefore, examine your alignment with surgical honesty. Where is passion bleeding into pride? Where is caution disguising fear? Where has comfort replaced hunger? Bring it all into calibration, because the next phase is velocity, and velocity magnifies both strength and weakness. I have assigned angelic squads to escort this shift, but they respond to spiritual resonance, not wishful thinking. When your words, decisions, and relationships harmonize with my directives, their assistance becomes lightning fast, weaving favor through deadlines and detours alike. When dissonance persists, they linger at the perimeter, authorized but unable to intervene against the tide of your own resistance. Choose harmony, and watch acceleration render long-standing obstacles irrelevant. Choose discord, and watch simple tasks morph into uphill climbs. The math is that precise. Do not panic at the prospect of total overhaul. Intimate proximity to me will regulate the transition. I am not hurling you into chaos without compass. I myself am the compass, the true north that never swivels. Cultivate stillness at dawn, honesty at noon, gratitude at dusk. These daily alignments will anchor you while plates shift beneath your feet. Celebrate small course corrections, apologies issued promptly, distractions dismissed decisively, generosity released instinctively. Each move is a click in the alignment dial, fine-tuning your coordinates for maximum lift as the ground begins to quake. Hear the rumble. It is not calamity, it is construction. Foundations for the next decade are being poured beneath tonight's routine. Blueprints signed in heaven are lowering into place. Your role is to stay precisely on the X-marked yield. Do so, and upheaval becomes upgrade, storms clearing old debris, tremors adjusting cracked beams, winds carrying new possibilities into view. Ignore the call, and identical forces will scatter focus, fray relationships, exhaust resources. The difference is alignment. This moment is therefore critical. Lean close, calibrate quickly, and step boldly. Everything is about to shift, and because you remain in step with me, every shift will ultimately settle into something better than what it replaced. There is a flow of blessing waiting to burst forth in your life, a release that has been divinely scheduled, but it cannot pass through a heart that still hosts resentment. I know you've been wounded. I saw every betrayal, every word that cut deeper than a knife, every act of rejection that left you gasping for worth. But as long as you cradle that pain like a possession, as long as you let the offense sit in your soul like a throne, nothing fresh can enter. Bitterness is not just an emotion, it is a barrier. It does not simply exist within you, it builds walls between you and the next thing I've ordained. What should have passed through your life freely now gets caught in the thorns of unresolved anger. And I am commanding, not gently suggesting, but commanding you to let it go. Not because what they did was excusable, but because what I want to pour into you cannot coexist with poison. Forgiveness is not denial of damage. It's an act of divine surgery, cutting away the infection before it reaches your destiny. Bitterness corrodes clarity. It distorts discernment. It muffles my voice and amplifies every offense until even the smallest slight feels like betrayal. You cannot afford to carry that weight into the next season. It will cut what I'm trying to construct. I've tried nudging you gently, reminding you in prayer, sending you quiet impressions in the night, allowing convicting words to reach you, but now I speak with full authority. Release them. Release the father who left, the friend who lied, the leader who failed you, the relationship that broke you, the betrayal that shocked you. Stop feeding it with your attention. Stop watering it with your silence. Stop justifying why you have a right to hold on. Forgiveness isn't about their freedom, it's about yours. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm not telling you to pretend it didn't matter. I'm showing you the spiritual cost of harboring what I already handled on the cross. You cannot serve justice better than I can. You cannot heal through revenge. You cannot reach peace by replaying the pain. I'm not instructing you to trust them again. I'm telling you to remove them from the throne of your mind. Every time you carry that offense into new opportunities, it filters how you see people who didn't hurt you. It trains your heart to expect betrayal, and where faith should rise, suspicion takes root instead. I can't let that cycle continue, not if you want what I'm about to release. This next chapter requires capacity. I am increasing your influence, stretching your reach, unlocking divine strategies, but you need clean hands to carry holy things. And bitterness leaves residue. It makes you sharp when you should be soft. It keeps your fists clenched when they should be lifted. I want to fill your hands, but I can't when they are full of the past. That's why this command cannot be postponed. Your obedience here is the hinge on which doors will swing open. Some of the resistance you've been facing isn't warfare, it's a warning. A signal that your heart must be realigned. You prayed for breakthrough, but breakthrough isn't just about blessings, it's about becoming. And you cannot become what I've called you to be while clinging to what should have been buried long ago. Forgive quickly. Not carelessly, not casually, but promptly. As one who understands time is too short to carry debt weight. Forgive like someone who has realized that your peace is worth more than their apology. Let me carry what you were never designed to hold. Trust that I saw everything, and that I will vindicate you better than you ever could. Release them into my hands, and watch how suddenly the things that felt stuck begin to move again. Watch how fast clarity returns. Watch how new relationships blossom without the shadows of yesterday lingering. The moment you obey, a fresh wind will blow not only over your emotions but over your circumstances. You've waited long enough. Don't let bitterness become the thief of your harvest. I'm ready to flood your life with what has been held back, but I will not release it into bitterness. Obey swiftly, forgive fully, and watch the gates burst open. Hidden in plain sight, on a path you have not yet walked, stands a partner I have been training in silence, an ally whose skills, wisdom, and intercession knit perfectly with the gaps you cannot fill alone. Their calendar is synchronized to mine, not yours. Their appearance is scheduled to intersect your journey only after your next act of obedience pulls you into the right latitude of purpose. That means hesitating now delays not one destiny but two. I have invested years cultivating their perspective, tempering their character, polishing their compassion so that when your roads converge, the synergy will ignite possibilities neither of you could access in isolation. They carry answers to prayers you have not found language for, and you carry keys that will unlock dormant rooms within their calling. Together, you will form a bridge over obstacles that intimidate lone travelers. Yet that meeting place hovers in the future like a sealed waypoint, unopened until your compliance shifts coordinates. Consider my method. I never send reinforcements to comfort disobedience. I dispatch them to reinforce momentum. If I release this helper into your current longitude, the connection would miss its mark, because the tasks waiting require the faith muscles you build only through immediate follow-through. I must first see you step into the new territory, even if it feels raw and unfinished. Think of Abraham leaving Ur, Joshua stepping into Jordan, Ruth gleaning in foreign fields, all met allies and resources mid-stride, not while idling at home. The same principle governs you. Movement magnetizes provision. Until you take the step I've outlined, perhaps reconciling a strained relationship, launching the project I keep highlighting, humbling yourself in hidden service, your future collaborator remains on standby, ready but unreleased. Do not imagine I have overlooked your need for partnership. I designed you with interdependence woven into your DNA. Destiny is a tapestry, not a solo thread. Still, I guard timing fiercely so that premature exposure does not sabotage delicate assignments. Your helper's arrival must coincide with your readiness to steward collaboration without rivalry, envy, or misplaced dependency. That readiness matures in the greenhouse of obedience, where pride is pruned, discipline deepens, and motives are purified. Each time you hesitate, another leaf of immaturity survives. Each swift yes to my instruction accelerates the day the curtain lifts and you meet the one I've prepared. Feel urgency rising? Good. Let that urgency convert into decisive action. Finish the chapter I told you to write, even if the words feel inadequate. Submit the application, even if the door looks improbable. Release the tithe, even if your balance feels fragile. I am measuring trust, not comfort. The moment your faith translates into tangible steps, spiritual logistics initiate. Calendars shift. Travel routes realign. Conversations nudge your future partner toward the same intersection. They may feel an inexplicable pull to relocate, enroll, resign, or reach out. Those nudges are my choreography responding to your obedience. What seems spontaneous on earth is precision in heaven. You need this helper. Yes, but they need the version of you that emerges on the other side of current instructions. If you meet too soon, insecurities might misinterpret mentorship as control or collaboration as competition. Obedience cures that by anchoring identity in me, not in applause or comparison. So trust my sequencing. Instead of praying, Lord, send them now, pray, Lord, complete the work in me so the partnership can prosper. And as you move, stay expectant. Divine connections rarely wear neon signs. They often appear as ordinary introductions that suddenly blaze with recognition in your spirit. When the alignment occurs, peace will surge like a tide, and doors that once rusted shut will glide open with minimal effort. You'll marvel at how seamlessly ideas dovetail, resources multiply, and warfare recedes when united purpose steps onto the battlefield. Until that appointed hour, refuse the counterfeit's voices promising shortcut promotions, relationships fueled by flattery rather than covenant. The right companion will not lure you off course. They will amplify devotion and sharpen vision. You will know them by the way my presence thickens when you strategize together. So, act on what I've already spoken. Let obedience set the rendezvous in motion. The sooner you step, the sooner the helper appears, and the quicker the next chapter of impact will unfold. Despite the echoes of solitude that haunt your late-night thoughts, despite the accusing whispers telling you no one understands your battles, you move through each hour encircled by a garrison heaven personally assigned to your life. Yes, the adversary crafted scenarios to strand you, friendships dissolving without warning, family conversations laced with misunderstanding, invitations drying up until silence dripped from your phone like water off a vacant roof. Those tactics were designed to convince you that abandonment equals insignificance. But right now, I pierce that illusion. If your spiritual eyes could peel back the veil, you would see ranks of radiant sentinels stationed at every threshold, warriors poised at the foot of your bed while you sleep, watchmen flanking your commute, messengers charting the airwaves around your voice. They heed my command, not your feelings, which is why their presence remains constant even when your emotions plummet. These angels are not ornamental. They carry active assignments. One stands between you and accidents plotted on demonic maps. Another intercepts fiery darts of despair before they embed in your mind. Yet another orchestrates divine appointments, nudging you toward mentors, opportunities, and resources you label unexpected breaks. You assumed coincidences guided your escape from near-miss catastrophes, but it was coordinated intervention, shield raised, sword unsheathed, paths routed in milliseconds. Consider the unexplained delay that spared you from the collision reported moments later, or the stranger who spoke a phrase so surgically precise it untied a months-old knot in your soul. Those were angelic fingerprints, evidence you have never walked a corridor of your journey unaccompanied. Even in rooms filled with hostile agendas where laughter carried barbed undertones, where alliances formed to mute your influence, my angels planted themselves behind invisible lines, diffusing venom before it sank deeper. They whispered strategy into your subconscious, guiding a sudden change of topic, steering your yes or no, causing your spirit to bristle when deception hovered too close. You credited intuition, but intuition was merely the echo of my guardians issuing silent counsel. Remember the evening anxiety roared like a beast, and you felt a warmth spread through your chest inexplicably. That was no random wave of calm. It was a seraph touching your heart with ember-bright reassurance, reminding you rescue was near. I assign this host not because you are fragile, but because your mission is fierce. High-value cargo travels with convoy protection, and your destiny packed with liberation for others demands such confidentiality and cover. Tel recognizes the blueprint stitched into your DNA and has invested heavily in isolating you. Isolation breeds distortion. Perspectives twist, hope dims, and lies gain volume. That is why I countered with community of a different realm, one immune to gossip, impervious to betrayal, fluent in my agenda alone. They report directly to me, updating heaven's command center on your progress, receiving fresh orders tailored to the battles of each day. Yet their effectiveness heightens when you align with awareness. Acknowledge them, and courage swells, speak my word aloud, and their blades ignite, worship in adversity, and their ranks multiply like flames mirrored in endless blasts. You are never deploying faith into a vacuum. Your declarations are coordinates angels use to shape the terrain. When you decree peace over chaos, they sculpt pathways of favor through bureaucratic red tape. When you sing truth over fear, they weave nets that catch falling hope before it shatters. They move fastest on the currency of your agreement with my promises. Therefore, dismantle the narrative that calls you forsaken. Loneliness may visit your senses, but it cannot rewrite spiritual reality. The king's entourage remains. Walk into tomorrow cognizant of footfalls that do not echo. One set belongs to you. Many more belong to companions forged of light. Let this assurance recalibrate posture, shoulders squared, chin lifted, decisions untainted by desperation for human validation. Earthly company will return in my timing quality. Covenant relationships already being prepared, but until then, practice conversation with the unseen. Thank them for their vigilance. Join their anthem by living boldly. Sleep knowing shifts change at your door while you dream. You are not a solitary wanderer. You are a protected envy, escorted by heaven's finest. And no scheme of isolation will ever sever the circle I have permanently drawn around your life. You looked around and couldn't find the reassurance you once relied on. The signs stopped appearing. The feelings went numb. The once clear voice of direction seemed swallowed by stillness, and your heart questioned, "Where did you go?" But I never left. I did not step back. I stepped deeper into the hidden places where strength is not displayed but forged. I pulled you into silence not as punishment, but as strategy. When all the noise disappeared and the applause faded, what remained was me and you, and in that sacred hush, I rebuilt what couldn't grow in constant movement. You thought you were being ignored, but I was inspecting your foundations, removing cracks that would have collapsed under future weight. You mistook the pause for abandonment, but it was actually the birthplace of endurance, the crucible where hollow motivations were burned away and replaced with substance that lasts. You see, silence is not the absence of activity in the kingdom, it is often the deepest activity of all. When I prepare someone for a shift that will alter not just their life but the lives of others, I strip away every crutch until trust stands alone. I let the familiar grow quiet so that my whisper becomes enough. I allowed doors to remain closed not to frustrate you, but to strengthen your dependence on my direction rather than your momentum. I slowed the pace to teach your spirit that speed does not equal success. I withdrew quick results to unearth the roots of faith, anchoring you so deeply in me that storms can no longer uproot you. You learned to walk without visible proof, to believe even when the signs weren't neon and the sky wasn't parting. And in that space, though your soul felt barren, I was planting patience, discipline, insight, resilience. While you counted days, I counted depth. While you questioned delay, I layered you with fortitude. Every moment you sat in that divine stillness, wondering, doubting, hoping again, I was conditioning your internal landscape for what's coming. Because what's about to unfold cannot be carried by the version of you that first entered that silence. The new weight, the next glory, the open gates you've been praying for, these things require maturity, not just passion. They require discernment that silence births. I didn't withhold my voice to punish you. I was teaching you how to discern me without the external. I was training your spirit to recognize me in nuance, in subtleties, in quiet wind rather than booming fire. I was preparing you to walk into places where others will still be seeking signs while you move in certainty, because you've learned to identify my presence in shadows. This skill, the ability to trust me when I'm not shouting, is rare, and I've placed it in you through that long, hard, quiet season. You don't realize it yet, but you've become a weapon, not just a witness. The silence didn't weaken you, it transformed you. Now the shift begins. The stillness will start to break, but don't be surprised if the noise doesn't rush back all at once. What returns will be alignment. What comes next is clarity, not through volume but through precision. You will know where to go, what to say, what to avoid, not because the world is louder, but because your ears are finally trained. Don't resent what I removed during the silence. Those exits were necessary. Don't mourn what didn't move. Some doors stay locked so you don't enter premature versions of your promise. What's ahead is custom fit for who you became in the quiet. So lift your head. You're not broken, you're battle ready. You're not behind, you've been prepared. You're not overlooked, you've been reserved. The silence that once confused you was actually a sanctuary. And now that the moment has arrived, you'll carry the fruit of that silence into spaces that only the refined can navigate. This is why I kept you hidden. This is why I hushed the noise. And this is why, now, when I send you forward, you'll know you were never forgotten. You were simply in training for the assignment no one else could carry but you. Feel the atmosphere shifting. Clouds that once threatened to drown you are darkening for one final burst, not of destruction, but of nourishment. The very deluge that soaked your hopes, that hammered your resolve, that made you wonder if sunlight had permanently vanished, was never an accident. I scheduled each tempest with meticulous intent, allowing lightning to expose foundation cracks and winds to strip away weak branches so the core of your calling could stand unshakable. You mistook the roar for chaos, yet it was choreography. Thunder timed to shatter complacency, gusts arranged to uproot shallow confidence, torrents ordained to soften hardened soil. While you cowered beneath makeshift shelters, I was saturating hidden seed. Dreams buried so deep you forgot their location began to swell under pressure, cracking husks of fear, sending taproots toward resources you could not see. That storm, yes, that relentless, uninvited storm became a greenhouse. Now, listen. The final drops are falling, and the air is thick with living promise. I'm issuing an urgent call to attention, because the same rain that stung your face is about to color your landscape with vibrant growth. Do not waste time mourning the mess of muddy footprints. Look up and discern the emerald shoots piercing yesterday's mud. Where others see ruin, you must identify rows of potential fields primed for harvest far beyond anything you imagined when the sky first darkened. This transition is swift. Seeds germinated under duress tend to break ground suddenly. You will wake to find opportunities sprouting in places you deemed barren. An unexpected connection, a revived passion, a solution emerging from the rubble of what failed. Recognize them and cultivate immediately, for early stewardship determines future scale. Refuse the reflex to rebuild the old scaffolding simply because the sun peeks out. That architecture cannot support what is springing forth. Design new frameworks with lessons carved from thunder, structures flexible enough to bend in wind, deep enough to anchor in saturated ground. People who only witnessed your struggle will be puzzled by rapid resurgence. Let their confusion testify to the efficiency of divine cultivation. Some will attempt to tether you to storm stories, keeping conversation anchored in past pain. Do not camp in meteorological archives. Honor the lessons, yes, but pivot discussion toward burgeoning fruit. Talk like one who expects blossoms, because expectancy itself accelerates blooming. Guard your vocabulary. Trade phrases of survival for language of stewardship. Speak of pruning schedules, of harvest equipment, of distribution channels, words that signal faith in impending abundance. Angels are listening for such declarations. They translate them into logistical orders in realms you cannot access. They reroute resources, synchronize timing, and alert allies the moment your tongue aligns with growth instead of gloom. Conversely, negative rehearsals act like frost, slowing development. Choose life-laden sentences and watch seedlings leap. You will sense fresh responsibility pressing toward your calendar. Embrace it. Rain produces weight in branches, unhandled fruit ruins limbs. Implement disciplines forged during storms, quiet dawns, quick repentance, courageous generosity to balance the load. Do not fear stretch. It indicates multiplication. Stretch reveals capacity previously masked by survival mode. Push a little farther, give a little deeper, risk a bit wider. The water table is high, roots will find supply. And remember the covenant of the rainbow, my signature across receding clouds, promising that future storms will never carry the same permission to devastate. Adversity may revisit, but devastation had been vetoed. You now possess flood-tested wisdom and waterproof faith. Both will convert future rains into even richer harvests. Let gratitude rise with the steam of drying earth. Thankfulness transforms post-storm humidity into an atmosphere where miracles germinate at accelerated speed. So step outside. Smell the texture of new beginnings. Feel mud become fertile under your feet. Lift your eyes to the glistening horizon and march forward with tools in hand. Heart steady, vision clear. The storm served its sentence. The rain has completed its assignment. Now cultivate, gather, and distribute. For what flourishes next will not merely feed you, it will nourish nations starved for evidence that storms can birth gardens when guided by the master of the weather. I did not breathe divine insight into your soul for it to stay sealed beneath layers of fear, false humility, or waiting for someone to give you permission. What I placed within you is not casual inspiration, it is living fire. It is truth sharp enough to slice chains, hope strong enough to lift hands, strategy wise enough to rebuild ruins. And I am no longer giving you room to hide behind silence. Your silence has not protected you, it has limited you. You've watched others speak with boldness while you second-guessed your timing. You've waited for a stage, but I've been waiting for your voice. You've held your words hostage behind internal debates, wondering if you were qualified enough, articulate enough, worthy enough. Yet I called you knowing every flaw, every stumble, every scar. Still, I chose you. Still, I anointed you. Still, I gave you revelation that wasn't meant to remain internal, it was meant to become an echo through nations. What you carry is sacred. It is not meant to stay dormant. I entrusted you with specific experiences, insights, and encounters not so they would stay hidden, but so they would serve others as living proof of who I am. You've prayed for impact, but impact begins when you speak. You've asked me to use you, but I use movement, not hesitation. Your testimony is not too messy to be effective. In fact, it is precisely your story, your unique journey, that carries the authority to shatter someone else's lie. I didn't give you freedom so you could pretend you were never bound. I gave it so your breakthrough could be a key for someone still in chains. Speak, not from perfection, but from encounter. Speak not from ego, but from obedience. The time for rehearsing excuses has expired. I am commanding you to open your mouth and release what I've planted in your spirit. Whether through pen, video, conversation, music, leadership, however I've called you to express it, begin now. Don't wait for applause. Don't wait for agreement. Don't wait for everything to be polished. Begin. I'll breathe on your obedience and cause it to reach places you could never predict. Stop underestimating the power of one word at the right moment. A single sentence from your lips, bathed in my spirit, can ignite someone's soul like wildfire. But that word must be spoken. That post must be published. That song must be sung. That prayer must be prayed aloud. I will send ears to hear you when you obey my prompting. You won't have to force an audience. I will draw the ones who are starving for what you carry. But the sound must be released. Heaven responds to sound. Destiny responds to sound. Even creation is groaning for the manifestation of the sons and daughters of God, and you cannot manifest in silence. Sound brings structure. Words frame worlds. When you speak what I've given you, you partner with me in shaping atmospheres. The darkness you've been contending with isn't always about what's around you, it's about what's been trying to muzzle you from within. It fears your sound. Because your sound is not just noise, it's prophetic. It's precise. It's holy. There is no neutral space when I command a voice to rise. If you stay silent, others will speak, and what they speak may not reflect my heart. Your silence leaves a vacuum that culture is eager to fill with distortion. But when you obey, when you speak what I've placed inside you, it recalibrates the air. It shifts timelines. It alters outcomes. That is how powerful your voice is when tethered to my word. So write the truth I've poured into you. Say the thing you've been holding back. Start the conversation I've been nudging you to begin. Preach what burns in your bones. Share what you've seen me do. Even if your voice shakes, let it be heard. I will steady it. I will multiply it. I will confirm it. You've been too quiet and too many have been waiting for your sound. The wait is over. The silence ends here. Speak and watch everything shift. Deep within the mosaic of your experiences, I embedded a code, a narrative thread woven through triumph and trauma, laughter and lament, seemingly random moments that, when read together, form a key designed to fit another soul's locked door. You might think your journey is ordinary, a patchwork of small victories and private battles. But I have been scripting each detail with surgical precision, anticipating an intersection where your testimony will collide with another's captivity and shatter it. That collision will not happen by accident. It will be triggered the moment you recognize that your life itself is a living proclamation. Every unseen rescue, every night you pushed through tears, every desert mile where hope felt like a rumor has been forging a sentence in the language of deliverance that only you can speak. Someone is suffocating right now, believing their struggle is singular, and the antidote lives in the authenticity you have yet to release. I am urging you no, commissioning you to read the encrypted message of your past aloud, because its very sound will fracture chains you never knew existed. Do not wait until you feel flawless. Liberation seldom emerges from perfection. It erupts from scars that pulse with proof of survival. When you articulate how I met you in the maze, light will flood dark corridors for someone else. They will follow the glow of your honesty like travelers chasing dawn. The urgency is not hypothetical. Spiritual timelines are converging. A heart, perhaps continents away or seated silently beside you tomorrow, will reach a breaking point, and your story is the lifeline I intend to throw. If you delay, their night deepens. If you speak, morning accelerates. This is why I refined your voice in seasons that felt purposeless. The cadence you gained wandering through valleys now carries resonance that theories cannot fake. Academic knowledge can educate, but embodied redemption liberates. Your lived message carries a frequency calibrated to disarm shame, dismantle lies, and ignite dormant courage. It will not resonate if sanitized deliverance demands candor. Admit the moments you doubted me, the fractures that seemed fatal, the ache that taught you to inhale grace. Transparently narrating those chapters will dismantle the illusion that faith eliminates struggle. Instead, it reveals that faith escorts you through fire unconsumed. that revelation alone can pry open prison doors. Do not underestimate the choreography I have prepared. I will align meetings, algorithms, conversations, even glances across crowded rooms so that your words land like precisely aimed arrows. When you release the message, you will feel an unmistakable shift, atmosphere bending, weight lifting, not because you are eloquent, but because obedience detonates power. Heaven will amplify your voice to distances you cannot calculate. A late-night scroll stopping on your post, an overheard snippet in a coffee shop, a podcast episode cued at the precise minute despair threatens. You deliver, and I disperse. Angels stand poised to escort every syllable to its ordained recipient, oxygen where suffocation reigned. Yet understand, the enemy recognizes the potency of your hidden message, which is why intimidation has stalked your expression. Each wave of imposter syndrome, each whisper that says no one cares, is strategic warfare aimed at keeping the key in your pocket. Break agreement with those lies now. Confidently plant your feet on the truth that I authored your narrative for communal freedom, not private contemplation. What feels vulnerable to share is precisely what validates someone else's hope. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the currency of connection. Spend it boldly. I will replenish. Prepare. As chains fall from others, you will feel a reverberation, fresh clarity, expanded favor, new authority. Revelation released returns multiplied. The very act of unlocking another's prison swings wider doors for you. This is kingdom economics. Give, and it ricochets abundantly. But first, the message must be spoken. Journal it, film it, preach it, sing it, converse it, just release it. Time is tight, souls are waiting, and I have chosen your life as the conduit. The ink is dry on heaven's scheduling. Step forward, turn the key of your testimony, and watch entire corridors of captivity erupt into freedom. I spotlighted your life on the heavenly itinerary long before you learned to shrink behind curtains of courtesy, and the season of remaining camouflaged beneath everybody else's expectations has reached its unextendable limit. The signal lamps of destiny are sweeping the horizon, searching for the brilliance I planted in you, and I refuse to let them find an empty stage. You have rehearsed anonymity as though it were a virtue, protecting yourself with self-deprecating humor, relinquishing credit, bowing out whenever acclaim approached, convinced that meekness is measured by how thoroughly you erase your own outline. But genuine humility is not erasure. It is alignment, and alignment demands that you radiate every watt of glory I wired into your frame. Continual retreat has begun to mutate into disobedience because unseen influence now equates to unused influence, and wasted influence impoverishes the world I designed you to enrich. The spotlight I'm activating is not theatrical vanity. It is strategic illumination, so those wandering in bewilderment catch sight of a living waypoint and recalibrate their route. They will not notice you if you remain draped in safety's gray fabric. My agenda, pulsing through your veins, is to place you where questions collide with answers, and that means visibility, frontline visibility, where applause and arrows fly in the same wind. I acknowledge that exposure terrifies the parts of you still healing, the memories of ridicule that etch chastening echoes through your confidence, the misinterpretations that once weaponized your authenticity against you. Yet I have fortified your interior structure precisely for this unveiling. Your heart has been fire-seasoned to withstand sudden gusts of criticism, your mind rescripted during silent years to anchor truth deeper than opinion, your motives sifted so thoroughly that spotlight glare can no longer distort them. Trust that process. What once felt like withering scrutiny will now feel like liberating transparency, because hiding had become heavier than hate to your spirit. Covering light requires energy, and I am redirecting that energy toward impact. Do not wait to perfect articulation or to polish every angle of presentation. Raw luminescence is more persuasive than rehearsed shadows. Step forward even if your voice trembles, for tremors are proof you're still alive and vulnerability transmits authenticity and frequencies that cut through crowds' numbness. I will amplify your words so they reach balconies you never imagined addressing, but amplification comes only after projection. Refuse to sabotage this launch by clinging to introverted comfort zones, by muting convictions to retain decor of universal approval. by dressing revelation in bland language so nobody feels challenged. I am appointing you as a signal flare, not a night light. Explode with color. Let your ideas disrupt monotony. Allow creativity to flood ordinary spaces with holy provocation. Some will avert their eyes, yes, but many more will feel dormant hope burst awake under the blaze. Prepare practical life for public gravity. Budget time for interviews you haven't yet been invited to. Cultivate disciplines that guard heart integrity when numbers surge. Erect healthy relational fences so praise cannot seduce nor criticism corrode. Visibility magnifies both strength and fracture, so continue daily diagnostics with my spirit. Quick repentance keeps lenses clean. I will send seasoned mentors who understand limelight's cost. Listen to them, but never let even trusted counselors dim the wattage I authorize. Remember, I am the stage manager and audience of one whose well done outranks every cheer or jeer. Finally, recognize that visibility multiplies responsibility. Eyes widen toward leaders for cues on resilience, generosity, justice. Model what you preach. Pay invoices early, tip generously, apologize promptly, rest intentionally. These mundane acts anchor credibility when headlines swirl. Stand tall but bow low before me each dawn. That posture will keep you steady when pedestals wobble. I am lifting the shades, opening the curtains, igniting the floodlights. Step forward. Beloved, blink if you must. Breathe, then blaze. For I have not called you to camouflage. I have commissioned you to silhouette mountains, and every second you remain hidden deprives someone of essential navigation by the star I formed you to become. Amen.